right, everyone, welcome to another extremely exciting webinar. I'm very excited to have my good mate Tansel here. Now, Tansel and myself, we met last year where I had you on my podcast. I was very fortunate for that. Loved your story, and particularly for those in Australia, a yellow page. Tansel, you memorised one in 30 days. Absolute champion, 4-time memory expert champion of Australia. And not only that, the man that runs TEDx Docklands Away, one of my dreams come true. So, Tansel, like everyone's saying, loving the shirt, the jacket, your energy, mate. Can't wait to learn from you today. Improving your memory 200%. You are the best in the business. And what better way to learn? So I'm going to pass it over to you, mate. Really excited to learn today. And thank you for being here.
Mate, thank you, Shane. Sorry, Dale. I'm only kidding, obviously. But thank you for all those people that are joining in. I mean, this is amazing stuff. I'm seeing people from New York and Wilmington. Wow, this is so cool. And we're having a chat before with Dale about, I could just, hold a session here and just chat to everyone. This is really cool. So thank you, everyone, for joining in the sessions and also joining in the previous sessions as well, because I think you would have taken so much out of the event. So thank you very much. Now, to kick things off, I guess Dale didn't mention too much about me. You would have read a little bit of my bio. But just to give you my story, to kick things off, a lot of people think that I was born with this amazing memory. And a lot of people think that just because I've memorized the phone book and won competitions, I must be really smart or I must be super talented, right? But what I usually tell them is, I'd love to say yes, but it's not the case, obviously, because what happened was that I actually had a really bad memory. And hi from the US, Sherry. Yeah, I had a really bad memory, and I used to forget everything. As soon as I read, even after a page, I'd go back and think, what did I just read? People would talk to me, and then a few moments later, I'd forget what they'd even said. Now, I was that terrible, really, and I used to watch a lot of late night television. So this was in Australia. It was like David Letterman. That was the only one, really. So I'd watch a lot of David Letterman from the US, and there'd be a lot of these memorizers on that show. And the memorizers would go and remember all these people's names and faces back to front, any order. And I thought, no, these guys are just all fake. They want to, sell all their cassette tapes. It was tapes back then, right? So, and I thought, these guys want to sell their tapes. They're all fake. This stuff doesn't work. And then one day, a friend of mine, he came up to me and said, Tansel, I can remember 40 random objects, back to front, any order. And I thought, surely you can't do that. That's not really possible, right? I have to test you out. So I tested him out, and I gave him a whole bunch of words. And surely enough, he memorized them all perfectly, exactly as advertised. And I thought, surely, I didn't see you writing down anything. I didn't see any cheating. What's going on? And I said, how did you do it? He said, memory techniques. I'm like, what? What's this memory techniques business? I've never heard of it. Where'd you get it from? And he said he got it from a book. And I said, well, what's a book's name? And he couldn't remember, the idiot. So anyway, I researched the memory techniques. I went online and look, back then, and I started in 2002. And I want to give you all a really powerful clue here, by the way. It's a hack. And the first hack is there used to be a really powerful system back in 2002. It still exists today, matter of fact. It's called google.com, right? You can check it out. Go to google.com and you can type in memory techniques, right? Which is what I did. And I found that there were a lot of websites. There was a lot of information on remembering stuff. And I thought, bloody hell, how come no one told me about this at school, right? I used to, I went to primary school, I went to university, I went to I did years of education, and no one taught me memory techniques. So I got into it. I learned a few things. I learned how to obviously memorize, digits and numbers and, words and just list of items, things like that. And I realized that the power was so strong that, I could hold so much X amount of information in my head without even breaking a sweat. Whereas before, I think I'd had a really bad memory. It turns out it wasn't a bad memory. I just had an untrained one, right? So hello from Virginia. Okay, Juanita, welcome. Thanks for joining us. So I decided that I'm just going to research on memory techniques, and I came across a lot of other resources, and I started utilizing these resources and learning more from them. And as I'm excited searching about memory on Google, I came across the Australian Memory Championships. And I said to my friend, look, let's enter this competition. We'll come last. Who cares? I mean, we were just two guys playing guitar in metal bands back then, right? So we weren't even, academic or brainy in a sense. So we trained for a little bit for a few weeks, learned a few techniques, weren't doing all that great, but we thought, let's just enter this competition. So the competition was held in Melbourne, and, we had big names all around Australia come in and do this competition. So it was a 2-day competition, and we had 10 events, right? So some of the events were memorize as many numbers as you can, remember names and faces, random dates, people's numbers, all that sort of stuff. Hello from Japan, Jeffrey. Wow, good stuff. So we had this competition, and after 2 days, I came second in Australia, and my friend came third, and we broke all these memory records. And, I turned around, looked at my friend saying, well, what the hell did we just do? Got a shocking memory. And all of a sudden I'm second in Australia. This is quite remarkable. So from there, I sort of realized that, wow, this memory stuff anyone can do. So I started training more and more and more. And then we went to the Australian competition again with my friend the following year. And again, we came second and third in Australia. So we did really, really well. Didn't quite get that first spot, but we were having fun in the process. And then as I'm researching memory again, I came across the World Memory Championships. And I said to my friend, look, let's go. We'll go overseas. This time it was in Malaysia. So I went to Malaysia for the first time, and we had an amazing time. Did a lot of shopping. Remember, there was this little memory competition we had to do. So we did the memory competition, and lo and behold, out of 10 events, I broke 6 memory records against the whole wide world. And there were 70 people all across the world, and I came 5th in the world in a lot of the events as well. So purely remarkable. Now, I'm not putting this down to my work ethic or being smart or anything like that, because I had just started out. I was still fresh and new to memory techniques. So it wasn't that, my work ethic and ability carried me through, right? Even though a lot of people say, oh no, you're humble, whatever. It was because I just knew some memory techniques. And what I want to do today is I want to share with you some of these techniques. And the title says improve your memory 200%. Now, that is based on accuracy out of my 18 years of training people, right? And in this session, we're going to go through that and get you to experience the training that I went through and see some growth as well. So yeah, type in the comments if you'd like to improve your memory. I want to know how many people would want to say yes to improving 200%, which would be really
I would love
cool.
to, Tansel. I would love to, mate. I don't know if I'm going to tell you.
No, I want people to type. I want to see that there's people. I want to see action going on. I'm looking at the messages on there. So I love action. I love, yes, please, mate. That's it. So here we go. So before I get onto it, though, there we go. The comments are flowing in. The 2 people. Thank you. Everyone else. Oh, there we go. They're starting to flow in now. Awesome. Thank you, Lizzie Orton. Are you related to Simon Orton by any chance? Because Simon Orton, he's the memory champion before me, and amazing guy. And look, I can go on forever naming a lot of memory experts that I look up to, but I just want to go through and look, my aim is to give you as much as I can in this session so you can go out and use these memory techniques because they're life-changing. Yeah, hell yeah. Love it, Steve. Love it. Hell yeah. I want to see the hell yeah from people. I wish. Okay, you're not. Cool. Happy with 20%. Wow, not 200%, but even 20%. Well, let's see how we go. And I'll show you how to calculate 20% later as well. Oh, sorry, 200%. But here we go. But before I get into all of that, I want to go through a little memory test. Okay, I'm going to do a memory test. So, and this test, please no writing down or anything like that. So if you've got any writing utensils or you're on your computer, don't use it. Right? This is purely just a test for your brain to see how you can remember at the moment. Right? How does that sit with you? Is that good? Awesome. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you just a bunch of words. Okay. And I'll say them out a couple of times because people might miss it the first time. So Lizzie forgot she's related to him. Terry, you're a funny one. I'm just going to say a few words, and you have to try and remember these words to the best of your ability. Okay, here we go. First word. We've got gun, shoe, tree, door, beehive, sticks, heaven, gate, wine, and pen. All right, so I said them all twice. Now, before I get you to write any answers, please don't write anything in the comments. No answers, okay? You're going to have the answers in front of you. You're going to write them down somewhere else. So if you do have a piece of pen and paper, you'll probably need to get one just so you can write the answers. So I'll give you maybe a couple of seconds to do that. And while you're doing that, you can also obviously use your computer. You can open up Notepad or something like that and type in your answers as well. So before you type in your answers, however, what I usually do is I test people in a different way. And the reason why I do that is when we're trying to remember something in everyday life, what happens is we're constantly distracted, right? We might get a phone call here. Someone might talk to us here, might get distracted by an email, right? Life happens, things happen, and we get distracted. So what I want to do is I don't want to distract you, because in your head, you could be going cat, dog, car, computer, water bottle, drinks. I don't want to confuse people, right? Because if I keep repeating stuff, you're going to get mixed up. So I'm just going to talk about the brain for a little bit, because if you know about the brain, you know that it's very powerful stuff. Right? It's very powerful stuff. So I want to ask you a question. And again, you can use the chat box here as well. Let's see who can answer this question the quickest, right? If I was to try and remember some information, where is that being stored? Right? Is it in my nose? Is it in my elbow? Like, where's that information stored? If I ask you now.
It just takes a little bit longer for I don't know why, Tansel, if I typed it in, it'd come straight up, but everyone's answers, it takes about 20 seconds, mate. So they'll come up and they'll come fast.
That's fine. I'm happy to wait around. There we go. Nicole, good stuff. Short-term memory, even more accurate. Great stuff. Yes, it does go into our brain. It does go into short-term memory. Now, what happens is the short-term memory is that it's not actually designed. It's not created to hold lots of information, right? The brain isn't designed, especially short-term memory, designed to hold lots of information, right? It's only really designed to remember things like where we left our keys or parked our car, right? Things like that. And we still get that wrong, right? So what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to create like folders in our head. You know how we create folders on a computer, right? We want to create folders in our brain so that all we have to do is put the information into these folders, right? Put the information into these folders and then walk away, right? Because what do you do on your computer? You don't remember, you don't remember all the files you put in your folders, do you? Like, why would you want to? Because you know where the folders are. So you go directly to that folder to access the information, right? So same thing with our brains. We don't need to know exactly what's, all those things that should be in our brain. We just have to create the folder. And once we have the folder, we can put the data in there and then walk away. And then when someone says, hey, Michelle, hey, Dale, where was such and such information? You go, okay, let me go straight to my folder. I'm going to go grab that from my folder, and here it is. Bang, 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 bang. You recite everything perfectly. You remember everything perfectly. Now, how awesome is that to be able to do that? And to be able to do that in a short space of time is something quite remarkable. So that's what I want to share with you today, that techniques and strategies, and hopefully you can use that to your advantage as well. So cool. So let's get back to our memory test, right? Hopefully it didn't distract you too much from your memory test. So what I'm going to do, again, please no writing down the answers in the chat. right? Do this purely for yourself. Okay, what I'm going to do is, this is how I test the recall, right? I give you a random number. So I'm going to give everyone a random number. And what you have to do is you have to try and remember the order of the word corresponding to the order of the number, right? You have to try and remember the order of the word corresponding to the order of the number. Okay, and make sure you write these down, not on the chat box, but write them down either on a separate notepad or on your computer, something like that, just not on this chat box. Okay, so we're just going to go through the answers. So here we go. Some of the answers. I'm going to go through the numbers for you. So here we go. So I want you to write down the 7th word that I mentioned earlier in the list. So the 7th word, write it down. Okay, the 4th word. Second word. Sixth word. Tenth word. First word. Fifth word. Ninth word. Eighth word. And the third word. Okay, so there should be 10 words there. So they're all mixed up. They're all random, right? All those words are random. So what I want to do now is I want to go through the answers, and we could score off the answers. Now, I've been doing this for the last 18 years and using the same words too. So it's quite funny. So I've got a longitudinal study just based on this technique. And you'll see what the average score is as well. And I've literally done thousands of people all around the world. So there's a scoring system, so you can see where you fit from this scoring system as well, if your memory is really bad or not. Okay, so I forgot the 10th word. Doesn't matter. All right, so I'm just going to go through each number, and you have to try and score yourself. Okay, and I'll go through the scoring system. Now, the scoring system works like this. If you get the word correct, right, in any order, you give yourself 1 point. If you get the word correct in the correct order, you give yourself 2 points, right? So total score is out of 20. So let's go through them now. Okay, the first word, that was gun. Yep, so if you got 1 in gun, right, gun is the first one, give yourself 2 points. If you got gun anywhere else in your list, give yourself 1 point. Cool. Next one, number 2 was shoe. All right, so give yourself a score if you got that correct. Number 3 was tree. 4 was door. 5, beehive. 6, sticks. 7, heaven. 8, gate. 9 is wine. And 10 is pen. So Terry, it was pen, buddy. So give yourself a score out of 20. Remember, if you got the word correct in the correct order, give yourself 2 points. If you got the word correct in any other order, give yourself 1 point. And maybe put your score on the chat if you want to. That is. Just to see how we went with the scoring system. Nice, Terry. Good work. Rachel, 11. Good stuff. Wow. Big numbers.
We've got a smart group today, Tansel. Don't worry about that, mate.
Or is it that people with high scores are just putting them in the chat?
We'll never know, mate.
Yeah. Well, I think the title is you guys completely smashed my title out then. 200%. The average score out of 20 that I've done, and like I said, I've been doing this for many, many years now. The average score is 6. Right? So if you get more than 6, so if you get essentially more than 8, then that's not normal, right? However, 6 is still pretty bad. Even 10 is bad. I mean, why would you want to remember 10 things if there's 10 other things that you've forgotten, right? So for those that got 16, 18, wow, not many people that I work with ever get that. So, well done. Give yourselves a pat on the back, as we say here in Australia. If you can do that, go for it. Yeah, you won't be giving yourself any disease whatsoever. Social distancing, working. Definitely not normal, Terry. Oh, you did a great job. And Dale, I think we might get Terry to present the memory side rest of it, I reckon.
We might just sub you out, Tansel. I hope you don't mind, mate.
Oh, mate. Yeah, I might have to put my money towards him now. Yeah, good stuff, Terry. All right, so going through that, right, did anyone notice a bit of a pattern? Right? If you've noticed the pattern, it's that the numbers rhyme with the words, right? So 1 gun, 2 shoe, 3 tree, 4 door, 5 beehive, 6 sticks, 7 heaven, 8 gate, 9 wine, and 10 pen. She. Sorry, Terry. You're a she. So if everyone picked that, the rhyming, that's great. Good on you. But if you haven't picked that, then now's your chance to pick it up while I'm saying it, right? So number 4 was what? Door. 7, heaven, right? Now this was actually created by, I think it was Tony Buzan, I believe. And he's the guy who created mind mapping. And I had the pleasure of working with him before he passed away. So yeah, a few people noticed that the words were matching with the numbers. So well picked up there. But in essence, all the numbers are rhyming with the words, right? So this technique is actually called the number rhyme technique for obvious reasons. So whoever created the the name for it, really interesting stuff. So number rhyme technique. Now, what I did was I wasn't just giving you a test for memory, right? You can actually use this as a memory technique to remember. And the cool thing is, now that you know all the numbers, we could show you how to remember, say, a list of items. And I'm going to show you how to do that now, right? So let's say we wanted to use this technique to remember just a small list. How would we do that, right? So I'm going to give you an example of how to do that right now. Let's say we all go shopping, right? We all go shopping. And by the way, some of these items might be restricted from the coronavirus. So just be mindful, right, of the times we're in. Okay. Especially in Australia, we ran out of toilet paper. I don't know how we're going at the moment. Dale, hopefully we're back to normal on the toilet paper front.
I think so, mate. I think I've been able to get some lately. So I think it's a little bit better than it was.
That's great to hear, because we need toilet paper in the world, and even though there's bidets and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, enough of the toilet humor. Hello, Pauline. Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us. So, how do we use this technique to remember? Now, I've used this a lot to help people, especially for memorizing things like their speeches. And notes and things like that. So it's really powerful. But what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to give you 10 items and we're going to go shopping for, just so you can get the grasp of this concept. And once you understand that concept, we'll dig deeper into it and hopefully answer some of your questions on application of memory as well. Because I was having a chat to Dale before. It's not about being able to remember better. It's about being able to use that memory so you can learn faster, or so you can do something that is going to be more productive, or it's going to make things better for you. So that's what a good memory is for. It's not just for remembering. It's to make you more successful and achieve the things you want. So we'll definitely get deep into that. Anyway, how do we use this technique? So let's get some 10 items, right? The first item we want to buy is milk. Now, instead of saying milk, 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 repeating it over and over and over again in your head, what we can do is we can make a story with milk and the first item in our rhyming, which is gun. Right now we have to make a story, and that's how memory works, through story making and imagination. So if you've got any sort of imagination, you'll have an amazing memory. Right, so milk and gun, what story? So I imagine shooting milk and milk going everywhere. Right, can you visualize that? The sound of the gun, milk shot and milk spraying everywhere. So try and visualize that. Maybe you have a whole bunch of milk spilling all over your face after it's been shot. Really try and engage in your senses as you're listening to my stories. Okay, next one. So number 2 was rhyming with shoe. So let's say we get breakfast cereal, right? So imagine maybe someone put breakfast cereal in your shoe, right? And you put your foot in there and it starts to crackle and you get some yucky feeling underneath your feet, right? So cereal and shoe, or maybe you're eating cereal out of your shoe, right? How would that feel? Maybe you got little black bits floating around in your shoe, right? So there's a lot of uses for your imagination that you can have when making these stories up. Okay, next one. We've got 3 was tree. So tree and let's say onions. Now at this point, some people say, well, onions don't grow on trees, so I'm going to have the onions on the base of the tree. Well, the thing is, we're using our imagination. So we can imagine anything. So imagine a beautiful onion tree growing. There's onions, massive onions growing from this tree, and there's hundreds of people climbing this tree. They're all crying just to get to the onions, and we have a politician here named Tony Abbott eating all the onions. So if you know who he is, you'll know what he's up to, eating the onions. Okay, next one. Number 4 was rhyming with door. So imagine door and let's say want to buy butter, right? Butter and door. So imagine the door being smeared with butter and it's all slimy and the butter feeling, the oily, greasy feeling. So imagine your hand, as you touch the door and it gets greased by the butter. So really feel it, engage in that sensation. All right, next one. Number 5 was beehive. So beehive and let's say cucumber. So you can have a cucumber just stuck in a beehive. Right now, we want to make it a bit more entertaining, a bit more exciting than that. So maybe we're using the beehive as a piñata and we have the cucumber. So we're hitting the beehive with that. Or the story I usually have is the bees are taking a day off and they're smoking cucumbers in the beehive. Right? So you can have that if you want as a story. All right. Christy is thinking of eating out of the shoe every morning now. It could be a new thing, Christy. Who knows? If you do, make sure to send us a video if you do. Could be the new internet meme or thing happening. Who knows? Make sure you credit me in that. Next one, we've got 6 is sticks. So sticks and let's say tomatoes. So, and we could say tomatoes growing on sticks, but that's kind of boring, right? It's something that generally happens anyway. So we might want to do, well, I'm poking the tomatoes with the sticks, right? We can do that, poke the tomatoes with the sticks, or eating, tomato kebabs, right? Apologies for the people that are fasting at the moment, but just bear with me. We'll get through this. So tomatoes and kebabs, or you can have tomatoes on a stick, poking, all of that sort of stuff. Next one, we've got number 7 is heaven. So heaven and let's say lettuce, right? Now, some people go, oh, what can I do for heaven and lettuce? Quite difficult, but you can have maybe the clouds in heaven were made of lettuce. Or maybe you're greeted with complimentary lettuce as you're, getting into heaven, right? Or some people actually play on the word, let us into heaven, right? So you can muck around and use a lot of your, again, visualizations and, sticks, insects. So yeah, stick insects eating tomatoes. Good one. Terry, like I said, keep up the work and you'll be doing what I'm doing now. I'll be paying for your events soon. So good stuff. All right, so we had lettuce and heaven. Next one, we'll go 8 was gate. So gate and let's say cheese, right? So instead of having, the cheese was next to the gate, again, quite boring. Want to make it exciting. So imagine maybe the gate was made out of cheese. Gate was made out of cheese and you had to bite your way through to get to the other side. So you can imagine that. Maybe you're lactose intolerant. Yeah, now you have to run to the other side. So you can imagine those, gate and cheese. Maybe the gate's melting now. It's melty cheese from the gate. Yeah, you can really visualize it. Next one, we've got 9 is wine. So wine and let's say chicken, right? Wine and chicken. So maybe the chickens are drinking wine and they're drunk, drunk chickens. Some people have said to me, look, you can have coq au vin, or chicken goes nice with wine, blah, blah, blah. But I generally say, look, drunk chickens running around, you can't go wrong with that as a story. All right. Next one, we've got number 10 was pen. So let's say apple, right? Now, what you can do is you can stick the pen in the apple. You can have the Apple Pen song, coq au vin. Yeah, a lot of people say coq au vin for that one. So getting back to the pen example, so pen, we can write with the pen on the apple as well. Stick the pen in the apple, as I mentioned earlier. A lot of cool. So remember, try and visualize and use your imagination, because the more you use it, the easier it is to remember. So, all right. Now, I don't know, Dale, if there's a way to clear the chat messages, because people have been writing.
That's it. No,
I
don't actually know. Sorry, mate.
All good. Just don't look at the comments, everyone. We want to go through the answers. Maybe we can just do a lot of enter, send. Would that work? A lot of G's. We got the G's. All right.
So we're ready to go. Here we go.
That's it. No cheating, everyone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you random numbers again, right? And you have to try and remember those words. Gee, Dale. You have to try and remember the words that I had in random order, by the way. We want random order. We don't want easy in order stuff. We're going next level here. So random order. Come on, Michelle. We've got to do the G's again, Dale.
All right, mate. I'll do that again. Here we go. All right. These again. All right, perfect. There we go.
Yeah, look, I do understand there's connection things, but that's what makes it fun, I guess. So that's the beauty of it. I love connections. I mean, last time I was on here, my screen froze like this, and it was just stuck for like a minute. So you've got a good system though, Dale. So we should be all good for this test here. So all right, I'm going to give some random numbers, and you have to try and remember what the word was. Again, from the rhyming number. Okay, so let's start with number 7. So, and again, please don't write in the chat box. Test yourself, write it down in your own notes on your phone, on your computer, elsewhere, just not in the chat box, because then obviously everyone can see. Okay, so here we go. So number 7, right? Think of what was 7 rhyming with. Well, I can give you the rhyme anyway. It's what's inside that matters. So 7 is heaven. You got to think, okay, what was the story with heaven? Write that down. Okay. So number 7, I mentioned. Number 4. So think of what 4 was rhyming with, and then write down the word that was in our list to go shopping with. So number 4. Number 2. So number 2. Also take note of how quickly these words are coming to you as well, because it's really cool. Number 6. Number 6. Number 10. Number 10. Number 1. The first one. Number 5. Number 5. Number 9. Number 9. Number 8. Number 8. Number 3. Number 3. Now, are we missing a number? I think we got everything, right? Is that right, Dale?
I reckon that was it. I think
that was it. Yeah, I didn't even count, to be honest. I just went through whatever numbers were in my head. I've been doing it on autopilot for such a long time. I didn't even pay attention, to be honest. But I was on cruise control, so people usually let me know. But if that's everything, everyone add up your score when we go through the answers. So are you ready? All right. So number 1 was gun and milk, right? So I'll just go through the answers instead of saying the rhyming. How's that? That's probably a bit easier. So milk, cereal, onions. So that was 3 onions, butter. Was it cucumber, beehive, cucumber, right? Tomatoes. Then we have lettuce. We have cheese, cheesegate. Then we have chicken. And then we have apple. So add up your scores and write down if you have improved, right? I want you to write down if you've actually improved. If you haven't improved, you don't have to write anything. But if you have improved your score from before, write that down. Say, hell yes.
Tansel, while you're talking, I just like was saying him in my head as I was going along, mate. And yeah, like I could just replay it straight away. Crazy. Like that's such a change, mate. I love that. Incredible.
Now, if you've gone from having 6 to gone to 20, right, or having 6 gone to 18, then that's 200% improvement right there. Hell yes, Lizzie Orton. All right. Well, you've got the name of a champion anyway, so you're going to improve Lizzie Orton anyway. Bloody door got me. Good one. Michelle, hell yes, love it. Amy, hell yes, keep it coming. Buttery door. Yep. Good one. Oh, I forgot the apple. Damn. Good stuff though, Rachel. That's amazing, right? Now, for people doing this, it's such a massive difference going from repeating the words to just using silly stories, right? Now, if you've noticed that, then you've noticed something quite, I guess it's almost a revelation that we don't have to repeat to be able to remember stuff. And when we look at education, right, a lot of the stuff was based on rote learning. In fact, it still is all around the world, rote learning, right? We have to repeat over and over again. And there's really no methods to having our students learn this way through imagination and using techniques like the number rhyme. I mean, it's quite fascinating. It's creative, it's imaginative, and you're having fun. It's engaging, right? You want to have fun while you learn. You don't want to be bored off your brain repeating, right? So that's the cool thing about using memory techniques. So what do we learn here? We learned that imagination is very, very powerful, right? And we learned that numbers are abstract. They don't have any sense or meaning whatsoever. But if you connect them to something that's got meaning, then you still have a really powerful memory, right? So being able to remember is got to do with how well you use your imagination. Now, that was just called the number rhyme technique. Now, guess what? You can actually improve this technique by you can put 2 things into one item, right? One rhyming item. So, for example, if you want to remember 20 things, it doesn't have to be shopping items, right? It could be a talk. Let's say you had 20 items to remember in a talk, right? 20 things, 20 keywords. And let's say the first one was introduction of your talk, and maybe the next one was you're talking about a particular topic. So in my case, introduction to memory, right? So introduction and then memory. So what I'd do was I'd introduce myself, maybe introduce a gun, right? I know it's not the best example to give, but you can also use fun and bun. When I work with kids, I always use bun and fun. Gun is too extreme, and you can obviously change these rhyming words as well. So I'm introducing myself with a gun, right? And I'm saying I'm here to teach you memory techniques, or there's a brain coming out of a gun, remembering everything. So now all I've done is made the story a bit longer by introducing the second item. So by the time you get to 10, you've got 20 items memorized, right? Isn't that cool? Now you can also do 30. You can do 100. You can have 10 in each one, right? The possibilities are endless. It's ridiculous, but that's only one technique. There's many, many other techniques out there that's useful for this, but it's all about getting back, though, to the principles of memory. It's not about being able to remember. It's about what can we do with this to maximize our efforts. So, for example, I gave the example before of remembering a speech. Right now, as Dale mentioned earlier, I do organize TEDx events in Melbourne. And about half the speakers come to me because they want to remember their talks. Right. And what I do, they usually give me their talks, on 6-7 pages of written script. And I end up tearing their scripts apart. And I say to them, look, out of these scripts, you're really only talking about 6 things, right? You're only getting 6 things here. You're talking, here's your one little personal story. Here's about what you've achieved. Here's your, 1 or 2, 3 things that you talk about in that topic. And here's your conclusion. And then what I get them to do is put those main key points on those rhyming words. And that's it. They've memorized their whole talk, right? That's how powerful this stuff is. Now, I've just gone through, like I said, the number rhyme technique. There's other really powerful techniques called, method of Loci, memory palace, right? I've been doing a lot of videos on memory palace on my YouTube channel. So I'm not sure how we're going to pass on the YouTube channel links or other links, Dale, but we'll give them hopefully some stuff to take away as well.
So well, we can. Sorry, mate. We can. Yeah, like
right.
People can go and check out Tansel on obviously YouTube, and we can put links in there. You're pretty hard to miss, mate. You are the memory expert champion.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. Yeah. Look, what I'm doing is I'm trying to personalize a lot of lessons for people because I got a lot of inquiries. I obviously have a lot of coaching clients. I can't see everyone all at once, so my next best thing is to create personalized lessons for people on my YouTube channel. So if you have any lessons you'd like me to share or create personally for you, message me from our website or from one of my YouTube videos, and I will personally create a video just for you. So for example, I've created a language learning program with Melbourne University and PricewaterhouseCoopers, big company here. And what we did was I used a particular memory technique to help people learn languages. So we applied this initially for Mandarin, but when the end of the year came, you could actually pop in any other language in there. And all he has to do is with making stories with phrases, right? Because if you can memorize 1,500 phrases of any language, you could speak that language, right? You could speak it. You're not going to get to an advanced level, obviously, but most people just want to be able to speak a language, right? You just want to be able to speak with someone and communicate. So if you can memorize phrases, it makes much more sense. Now, a lot of people think, I have to memorize a certain amount of words. Well, words are abstract and they're out of context. So, and you've got literally thousands of words, right? So it's a total waste of time if you try and memorize words. But if you memorize phrases, that's another thing altogether. And there's systems out there to be able to help you to do that. Right. So, and look, I've written a couple of books. My second book, How to Learn Almost Anything in 48 Hours, has a chapter on how to learn languages as well. So, like I said, if you're interested in those lessons, definitely let me know as well. So, the practical elements of memory is not just about being able to remember. It's about being able to use these skills so you can learn faster, but learn better. It's not necessarily about speed, because you can learn fast but still forget everything, right? Or go through it really quickly. It's like speed reading. When I teach people speed reading, I actually teach them in a way so that they can retain more information and remember, rather than just read really quick, because why would anyone want to read quick if they can't remember from it, right? So speed reading techniques are really powerful, coupled with mind mapping and memory techniques as well. So when I do a lot of advanced learning stuff with people, these are the kind of skills that's really, really helpful. So definitely check that out. Now, what I usually do, Dale, as well, I didn't mention this probably before, in order to finish up my sessions, I normally have a Q&A with people. So I'm not sure how this works on this particular platform, if people write down their questions in the chat or they can speak out their question. What would be best for that, Dale?
Yeah, so what will happen, Tansel, if anyone's got any questions now, please type them in the box. It becomes a little bit too hard trying to open all up other ways. But, yeah, so if you've got any questions, you can fire them in the chat box now and we'll answer those, and Tansel's going to stick around. But, mate, personally, that was, I think, when you can make anything you do fun, and you were very good at that, because I think memory scares a lot of people. And for me particularly, it's something you have to really focus on. But when you make it fun, creative, and when we're creative, we're learning and we're memorizing. So for me personally, mate, Like, that was so simple, and it's something that people can apply anywhere. You can do that same with your classes, at your workplace, with your family on isolation. So Tansel is simple, brilliant, and fun, mate. And that's exactly what we want today. We want to learn something, and I think everyone has today. So, mate, from me, thank you so much. Also, your main book, is it The Yellow Elephant? That's the one?
Yep, it's The Yellow Elephant. Yep. And there's also How to Learn Almost Anything in 48 Hours as well. Those two books, you can get it from, all around the world, I guess, in bookstores and Amazon. And, they're selling in the US and India, around Europe, UK, Australia, obviously. So, yeah, you can check around for it. Cool. All right. So we got our first question in. Now, before I get into the questions, because I'm a memory coach, I like to answer my questions in more of a coachy educational style, because that's how I essentially work and love working with people. So I'll try and get to as many of the questions as I can. I realize I've only got like 15 minutes. But before I get into the questions, I also want to let people know that I'm also going through a planning session phase with people as well. So if people want to book time with me to ask those questions and get deeper into their goals, you can easily make a booking on my website as well. And my website's tanselali.com, right? So I think that will be shared, Dale, I believe, somehow. It's on the website now.
It's all on there. Yep. Yeah, it's all on there. So if you just go to Tansel's bio, you can see everything about him, his website, socials, everything like that. So you can reach out that way for sure.
Yeah, it's like it says a goals planning session or something like that. And I love doing this because it's just better than a free session, because in the free session, you're not really doing much. But in this goals planning, what I do is I look at everything that you want to achieve and what techniques are going to work for it. Right. And that's the powerful stuff, because if you don't know, you don't know. Right. But if you know what you need to do, the rest is easy. So, take advantage of that. All you have to do is click on my website, and there's a booking calendar on there, and we can have that chat in our personal time. So definitely check that out if I don't get onto your questions, or if you want further clarification or help, because I'm trying to make myself accessible as much as I can. And if you don't want to do that, or if you're unable to, then feel free to message me on what lessons I can create for you, because the more videos I make out there, the more answers I give to people as well. So cool. Let's get on to the first question. So we've got Kayla. What's the best technique to remember people's names? Well, I'm glad you asked, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to go through a website called Memory League. Now, Memory League is a really cool website where you can train your brain and do some memory training in there, and also compete with each other as well. So we have our online memory competitions in there, which is really cool. So I'm going to share my screen. It's going to probably take a few seconds, right? But I'm going to do that, and I'll bring up the Memory League just so I can show you how it's done. And maybe we can even get some participation on this as well, because the most important question I get asked by people is, how do I remember names? So it should be on my screen now. I'll give a few more moments to people. So if you can see my screen now, I've got some people and their names. Now, the question is asked is, how do I remember names? Right now, I look at this guy, right, and I see the word Bill. So you have to do association using your visual skills. So Bill, it could be a dollar bill, right? If you're in the US, we don't have a dollar bill in Australia, but you can imagine a bill as in your bills. Could be electricity bill, phone bill. It could be Bill as in his nose, right? So what I do for this guy is maybe he's got dollar bills lined up in his glasses, right? His glasses have got dollar bills, or maybe his glasses were $1. He's paid him with $1 bill. So I'm making up stories, right? Let's go to the next one, Jeff. Now I think of, okay, do you know a Jeff, right? I know a Jeff. He's a boxer, Jeff Horn in Australia. So I can imagine this guy as the boxer, right? He's shaved his head. He's ready for action. He's smiling probably because he just won, right? So I'm making up a connection there with someone I know named Jeff. The next one, Michelle. Now we had a Michelle in our webinar room, but I believe that was a 1L. So this Michelle, I know a Michelle, but I can also maybe use someone famous like Michelle Obama, right? And this lady, maybe she's a hairdresser for Michelle Obama, right? So I can visualize that. She looks like a hairdresser for me anyway. So I can say, okay, I can picture her cutting Michelle Obama's hair. Next one, we got Aura. Now, Aura, she could be that she's got an aura around her. She's so positive vibe. She's so new age. She's got an aura around her, right? And she's really smiley and happy. So I can use that. So that's a play on the word. And we'll do one more, Helen. Now, my mother-in-law's name's Helen. So, and she's definitely not looking like this. She's a bit older. So for me, it's a bit funny. But you can also look at, okay, if I play on the word Helen, I might picture hell. Like this lady is laughing at you because you're going to hell. Right? Again, I'm making silly stories. The sillier the story, the easier it is to remember. Right? And you don't have to go the full name as well, because if you just use a part of the name, it'll help you remember the name. Okay, so let's go to finished. Now, I'm going to go through those names. Now, I don't know if you can see the screen and also look at the chat box, but if you can give me the name for this first dude, what's his name? Maybe just write it in the comments. Let's see if anyone remembers what this guy did. There we go. Melissa, bang. Good one. All right. How about this guy? What's his name? Good job, Christy. Yep. Tomatin, Helen, Terry. Sherry. Very quick. Got Bill. How about this one? Yep, everyone's getting Bill. That's awesome. Excellent. I'm starting to see Helen. Great work, people. Great work. Let's go here. What's her name? I love this interactivity, Dale. This is great.
They're coming through, mate. It's a little bit slower.
No, this is fine. I'm used to the, I'm used to it. This is awesome. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Good stuff, everyone. It indeed is Aura. And they even got the spelling right. This is great. And finally, this young lady.
She looks like a bit like a hairdresser there, Tansel. See, love your stories, mate.
Very pretty. Nice hairdresser. There you go. They're coming in thick and fast. Mate, everyone's memory is skyrocketed all of a sudden. What's going on?
They've been trained by the master.
Let's go. There you go. Everyone's memorized everything perfect. Look at that. Well done, guys. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. But that's how you essentially memorize the name. Right? You memorize the name by using something that sounds the same. Like my name, for example, Tansel. Some people say tinsel, right? Tonsil, right? Hey, utensil. Some people just yell out, hey, utensil, right? You can also use, like I said, John with toilet, right? I said that earlier with Dale. If there's a John, think of a toilet, right? In some countries, John means toilet. How do I memorize Jeff? Well, Jeff was a boxer for me, also a wrestler for Michelle. So that's how. So it's someone I knew from Jeff. We also have a famous Jeff here called Jeff Kennett in Melbourne. Good old Jeff there, Dale. We have him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. And Aura, she had an aura around her. So you can see it's just word association. The more you play around, the easier it is to actually remember these things. So it's pretty cool to be able to use that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the other questions because I can scroll up and see. Okay.
If you get to the G's, mate, you've gone too far.
Oh, right. Learning guitar. Awesome. Well, I'm a guitarist, so that's a great question. So learning not just guitar, but any musical instrument. Look, memory techniques do work. And what I do with guitar is, again, you've got music, which is a different part of the brain, and you've got notes, which is different part of the brain altogether. So when you combine them together, that's how you remember. But when you're, don't fret about it, Terry, you're a funny one. When you're learning musical instruments, the best way to learn, and look, this has been done for years, and you probably know this as well, is by actually playing the instrument, right? You're not going to apply any necessarily memory techniques. If you want to memorize particular notes in order, then you'll do it that way, and you'll use, if you're learning guitar, use tablature, guitar tablature. And what you can do is you can learn a number system to memorize the guitar numbers on a tablature, right? So in short, for people that haven't heard of guitar tablature or anything like that, it's for those specific people that want to learn guitar. Guitar tablature is the easiest way to learn. Plus, if you want to memorize from it, you can apply a memory technique to remember the numbers. So that's one way of doing it. I don't want to sort of delve too deep into that question. Okay, any other questions? I think those two that I saw. Okay, Christy just said the number technique was a game changer. That's good. Just went through Albie's question. Remembering names. How about remembering locations? Pauline, guess what? I just did a video on that on my YouTube channel. My latest video is about memorizing locations. So check that one out. Cool. All right. I've covered everyone's question, I believe. I think there's more coming through there, Dale.
There might be, Tansel. Well, while they're coming through, mate, I just want to, thank you so much for that today. It's not every day you get to learn from the best in the business, mate. And as well as that, I think there's a lot of people in the world are good at what they do, but when you can make it fun, as people will remember that. And I think that's why you are the best at what you do. And I'm really grateful that, you gave up your time to do that today. And you can tell by the comments, mate, how much people really enjoyed that. And they will be able to use that. So it's been practical. It's been fantastic. So, mate, once again, thank you for your time, your energy, and, putting this on to help people out in these testing times.
Yeah, and thank you for putting it on because, we've had amazing people rock up and, we don't do this because we just enjoy it. We do it for the people that are on here. So, that's excellent. Just one quick question that come in. How does it work for young primary school kids like sight words? There's a really good technique called the memory palace method of Loci. And what you can do is you can get kids to use this technique to memorize their sight words onto it. So when I used to work with dyslexic kids, I used to get them to use this technique and they'd memorize everything perfectly. So give that a go. Like I said, any questions you have, you can always contact me. I'm always out there to help people. That's my role. That's my mission in life is to help people. It's once I have that and you're all here, that's what makes it exciting. And it keeps me going as well. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. And I believe what else is left there, Dale? Is there anything else we need to do here?
Nah, I think that's it, mate. That's awesome. I'm going to